Hi, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday morning, and I will be recording today's lesson for you, introducing the letter of the day of the week. And you could probably guess what it is just by looking in back of me. And I will also be doing just a quick math lesson for you and introducing our new unit, Unit 3. So let's go ahead and get started. So happy Tuesday. Hopefully everyone is able to watch this, and I will see you bright and early on Wednesday morning. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. We are doing a new unit this week. It's Unit 3, and it's about plants and animals. And plants and animals have needs. That's what the unit will be about for the next 3 weeks. So if we look at this, let me make it a little bigger for you. If we look at this screen, we see that plants and animals all have the same basic needs. They all need water, food, shelter, and sun in order to survive. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Plants and animals have needs. All living things need air. All living things need water. All living things need food or nutrients. Living things also need shelter or a place to live. Why do living things have different needs?
All right, we're going to watch that one more time.
Plants and animals have needs. All living things need air. All living things need water. All living things need food or nutrients. Living things also need shelter or a place to live. Why do living things have different needs?
All right. So boys and girls, we are going to be concentrating on plants and animals for the next 3 weeks and discussing why we think they have different needs and what kind of needs plants and animals have. We're going to see how they're different and how sometimes they're the same. They all need food, they all need water, and they all need shelter and sun, but they might need it a little differently than others. I'm going to go ahead and share this Ladybug book with you, or Ladybug story with you, and then we will move on to our letter of the day. Here we go. It's called, oh, I actually meant to say bees, not ladybugs. So we're going to be watching a quick Busy Bees thing on YouTube, just to learn a little bit about bees and what their needs are and how they survive, and then we'll move on.
Hi everyone, Squeaks and I are enjoying a beautiful day outside the fort. Oh look, there's a bee. Oh, it landed on that flower. Let's watch and see what it does. We'll get a little closer, but not bother it. There it goes, buzzing off to find another flower. You know, bees are some of my favorite animals to watch. They always seem so busy. But do you ever wonder what they do all day? You might already know that bees are insects, like ants and beetles. Like all insects, bees have 6 legs and 3 body parts. In bees, these body parts are often brown or yellow, and sometimes they're striped with both colors. Bees also have 4 wings. When their wings move back and forth fast enough to make them fly, they make a buzzing sound that we think of when we hear the word bee. And there's another part of the bee that you've probably heard about, the stinger. But not all bees have stingers, and the ones that do don't sting unless they have a really good reason to, like when they're frightened, or to protect themselves, or to chase other animals away from their nest. There are lots of different kinds of bees, but the two kinds that you've probably seen most often are bumblebees and honeybees. Bumblebees are easy to spot because they're big and fluffy. Honeybees are a little smaller and don't look like they're covered in fuzz the way bumblebees do. Both kinds of bees make honey, but bumblebees only make a little, while honeybees produce a lot of that sweet, sticky stuff. And both kinds of bees also live in big groups, inside nests that we call hives. Do you want to see inside a honeybee hive? Let's have a look. This bee is the queen. No, she doesn't wear a crown, but she does have a really important job. She stays in the hive all day and lays eggs. Lots of them. After 3 or 4 days, these eggs will hatch and eventually grow into adult honeybees. Most of the other bees that live in the hive are workers. And worker bees? Yup, Squeaks, they do almost all the work. There are lots of jobs for them to do, like helping to build the hive and keeping the hive clean. But their main job, the one that they do almost all of the time, is to look for food. That's what the bee that we saw was doing. She was getting food from that flower. When a worker bee lands on a flower, she drinks a sweet juice from the inside of the flower. This juice is called nectar. While she's on the flower, the bee also brushes up against the yellow dust that the flower makes. This dust is called pollen. So while she's gathering nectar, the bee also gets covered with pollen as she moves around on the flower. When the bee has as much nectar and pollen as she can carry, she flies back to the hive. She feeds some of the nectar and pollen to the baby bees and to the queen, and then she turns most of the nectar into honey. Bees fly back and forth all day collecting nectar and pollen from flowers and taking it back to the hive. When it gets dark, they go back to the hive and rest, and then they're up early the next morning to start again. If you've ever heard the expression, busy as a bee, now you know why we say that. So if you see a bee, you don't have to be afraid of it, but do leave her alone and give her lots of room to get her work done. And that work includes more than making honey. It has something to do with pollen. Next time, we'll see why when you bite into a delicious apple, you should thank a bee. Thanks for joining us on SciShow Kids. Do you have a question about insects or flowers or anything else? If so, get help from a grown-up and let us know. You can leave us a comment below or send us an email to kids@thescishow.com. And we'll see you next time here at the fort.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing there. So, boys and girls, that was just showing you a little a video on why bees are important and what needs the bees have, what wants and needs they have. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We are working on the letter I, and I is for igloo. I. So I actually makes two sounds. It says I. That's the short sound, and it says a long sound. It says I, like for, let me grab it, ice cream. So you're going to be learning that I has two sounds, okay? The one we're going to concentrate this week is I, like igloo, okay? So we're going to quickly listen to a quick video on the letter I and see what I sounds we can come up with to add to our web. So let's listen to this.
We've sure met some interesting characters here on Frog Street.
Yes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Oops, don't step on letter I. Isabella Inchworm. Wow.
Isabella Inchworm, will you try to name some things that begin with I? Into and inside and in between. Invisible means that you can't be seen. Indians and igloos and insects too. And interesting, intelligent kids like you.
You're intelligent and you're interesting.
Isabella Inchworm, will you try to name some things that begin with I? Into and inside and in between. Invisible means that you can't be seen. Indians and igloos and insects too. And interesting, intelligent kids like you. Okay, all you intelligent kids, sing now.
there we were able to see some things that start with I. So I'm going to add some to our web, but not too many, so that when we finally get back together, you can add to our I web. The one we heard was inchworm. Inch is about this big. And there are some worms that are only an inch long. So there's an inchworm. We also heard the word igloo. Igloo is a house made out of ice. All right. And then one more we're going to add is insect. Insect is another word for bug. Okay. So there can be a bunch of different insects. So we're going to be concentrating on the letter I this week. I is for igloo. I. All right. So a couple of things we'll be concentrating on this week, the letter I, and also about wants and needs for animals and plants. Okay. Finally, we're going to go ahead and end with a quick math game or lesson that I'm going to be practicing with you guys during our Zoom sessions. So let me go ahead and hopefully this works. We're going to share our screen and use the camera. All right, so we have 5 dots. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover them and have you guess how many dots are covered. So if I do this, how many dots am I covering? You know that we had 5 dots to begin with. So there's 5 dots under my hand. Okay, but what if I do this? There's 1 dot outside. So how many are inside? Take a guess. Yeah, right. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's try it again. If I cover this many, so we have 2 outside. So how many do we have inside? Take a guess. 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, what if I do this? Now let's count how many dots are outside. So I'm going to use my marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many am I covering? It's a trick question. Ta-da, 0. What if I do this? First count how many dots are outside, and then try to take a guess how many am I covering? 1, just 1. So it's a really quick game you can play with each other, or we'll try it in class, see if you can guess. Let's do this last one. 2 are outside. How many are inside? 3. Good job. All right, we call that splat. We cover it to show if you can decide how many are inside the hand or covered by the hand. All right, boys and girls, so you have work to do today. Make sure you do your seesaw activities and you practice the letter I, and we will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 Wednesday. Bye.